Welcome. This is the first episode of the Vancouver real estate audio experience that's additionally being recorded for YouTube. We're going to be doing this simultaneously from now on. So in this episode, we've got episode 21 right now, which is how to get your Vancouver property ready for an open house. We've touched on slight aspects of this before, but getting into a bit more of a deep dive here on this topic. Again, all these podcasts from now on are also going to be available through YouTube on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/jmckinnis. So we're going to be archiving these there weekly, like we've been doing with the podcast here, and yeah, keeping you guys informed on all levels. As you know, if you've been listening to the podcast, we're mirroring our weekly blog updates on McInnesMarketing.com/news on all these seller-based topics in the Vancouver real estate market. So right now, moving forward, we're going to have on all platforms text, audio, as well as now video. So the atmosphere, just for the people in the video aspect of this that are watching, the atmosphere here is today just the most quiet room in the office I could find, but we're going to be moving around doing this every Friday, and no matter where I'm at, if we're at a listing, a showing, or on the street or in the car or whatever, I'm going to be doing it from there just to spruce it up on the visual side of things a bit more. But the audio, you guys are going to be getting the consistency like you have been, and then obviously on the web page, the more formal written word will be found there. So I'm just going to dive through the questions here based on this topic this week, which is of course open houses and what exactly goes in. So obviously you've all been to open houses to a certain degree. Living in Vancouver, of course the market's been crazy for the last few handfuls of years. So open houses from a buyer's perspective is a lot different from open houses from a seller's perspective. Buyers, you walk in and you're looking and you've got your criteria, you're comparing, so on and so forth, to what you've seen in the market. But from a seller's perspective, there's all kind of a large laundry list. We won't go through the whole thing today, just kind of touch on the Coles notes on what you really need to take care of prior to those buyers coming in to have a look at the property. And that's what we're kind of touching on today in a little bit more depth. So the first thing is, what exactly is an open house? An open house is obviously open access to your property for potential buyers. So there's a couple kinds of open houses. There's the typical public open house, which I'm sure everyone here has been to, which is the 2 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. In addition, there's what's called an agent's open house. So what this is where this is a specific day depending where you are in the Vancouver area. There's all different days for different neighborhoods. It's catered to specifically agents viewing new properties that come to market so they can preview it for their potential buyers. So for example, we've got a listing coming up in Upper Caulfield and West Van this week. That is a Wednesday agent's open house. So it's going to be 10 a.m. to 12 noon on Wednesday. And then, for example, downtown agent's open houses are 10 to 12 on Fridays, which was this morning. So these open houses are great with the small asterisks on the point where basically the public and or agents are coming through the property and physically seeing it. The way we like to structure our marketing plans is get a very marketing heavy, get all the media for the property, a very marketing heavy plan done from the start. So all the media is out there, so they're seeing everything online first, potential buyers, and then the open house is actually the last step. People aren't kind of coming into the open as the first step, but we'll get into that later. So why are they important? Again, touching on that, open houses are important in our opinion for the perspective of 9 times out of 10 someone physically needs to touch what they're about to buy, especially if they're spending this much money. So the open house is the time for them to actually come in and see it. Now, if we put a listing on a Monday and we try and structure this as close to this as we can, all the media goes up on a Monday, so all the video, the photos, the virtual tours, the MLS and all the website and social media and all this, pushing all this content on this new listing out to market, catering to the criteria obviously of the people who are in that buying demographic. We push that out on a Monday, and then we wait for the the first agent's open house, which is a weekday thing, to go there. So those agents see all that media come out, and then a last step of pre-qualification for that agent to then, in theory, tell their clients about the open is them coming through. Additionally, if we get that content out and it gets into the hands of the potential clients that we're trying to get into the hands of, 2-bedroom buyers, if we've got a 2-bedroom listing within a certain price point in a certain area, for example, they've seen all the video, they've seen the floor plans, they've seen the tours, the photos, the 3D floor plans, the 2D floor plans, they know the measurements, the exposures, the view, how bright it is, so on and so forth, details about the lot or the neighborhood or the building or the amenities. Then the last step in their tour is to, come through the open house and actually say, yeah, okay, the kitchen is over here in relation to the bedroom, and I got that, I got a concept of that from looking at the floor plan and seeing the video, but this really parcels it together, puts a bow on this parcel that we were looking at, and yes, this actually does tick all the boxes. Not so much the exact opposite, which a lot of people think open houses are used for, is to attract people to open houses, and at that point they make their decision, is this something that we could buy? Let's think about it. We try and go a very marketing heavy approach from the start, for example, to make that the last step and say, yeah, this is actually exactly what we thought it was from all the media we just saw on this property. This is a good buy for us. So that's kind of the importance in general. We look at, again, opens as something that we suggest doing at the beginning of the listing. If you've got an open house every week and the listing is, for whatever reason, on the market for a while, a few weeks or a few months, depending on the climate of the market, just having an open house every weekend, again, is really catering to that other side of you're just kind of fishing, hoping people are walking by and come in, or hoping people aren't progressive enough in their search to call and set up a private showing, but they're just going to come to the open house, and then you've got them kind of every week. And that's definitely not how we suggest structuring the open schedule. I think it's very important to run with the open house schedule from the beginning with the momentum of the new listing, and the first and possibly second weekends are ideal, and then from there just by appointment only, so you're really not just holding the house open for people to filter through that are maybe walking around on a sunny day, but you know the people are coming through are the right qualified people. How to best prepare for an open house. This is obviously very house specific. The biggest thing is 9 times out of 10 I see is decluttering. I mean, sometimes places need staging for sure. It needs to go that extreme. Decluttering is usually needed on all properties, and decluttering could be anything from you have too much furniture in the living room to really get an idea of how big this thing is because you've got it so full with furniture, to like having 50 photos up on the mantle instead of like 3, to really kind of generic, make the home more generic and not so personal to the current owners. The sellers, the hard thing that sellers have to understand is that this is no longer your home, even though you may still be living in it. This is now a product on a shelf. So you really need to cater it to the person that you want to come in here and fall in love with it, and to give it a very clean, sparse, for lack of better words, but well put together look is substantially more ideal than having an abundance of kind of very personalized items throughout, be it furniture that, too much furniture that doesn't fit, an abundance of personalized stuff on the walls and mantles and all that sort of stuff. So really kind of, again, making it a lot more generic, not so obviously your home, but a generic, say, 3-bedroom house or 2-bedroom condo, as opposed to that one we saw that had the pink shag and the green walls and all that sort of stuff. So those things can be okay from times, but by declutter I mean kind of really break down the house down to its essence, and that could be a bit of a pain. There's always a process involved in this. Do you possibly have to open a storage locker and all that? Yes, definitely. But in order for us as agents to really maximize on what we're selling here, which is your home for the highest dollar in the ideally shortest amount of time with the best terms that work for you, there's a certain level that the home needs to be at, and it always runs along those lines. Anything that needs to be fixed, always keep in mind if there's something that's on the brink of breaking, that railing that's about to fall out of the wall, or the hot water tank that's going on like 18 years and you're trying to push it another year just because you don't want to pay. Little things like that can come back to bite you, because if the climate of the market is that someone's going to get an inspection, they're going to come back and they're going to either want these things fixed anyway, or they're going to want to take money off. So to keep your deal as clean as possible, we always suggest if there's any work, be it wall patching, things like the railing or hinges loose, or anything really along those lines that are kind of obvious repairs that someone would do reasonably, do those first. Do those before the property goes to market, because the last thing you want is little kind of stupid details about something that could have very easily been fixed but just couldn't be bothered to be done, coming back to bite you. And buyers always want more off than the fix is actually worth. So yeah, work with your agent on that, and they will tell you kind of their 2 cents on what should be done, what shouldn't. But I think this is pretty generic information that any agent would agree with when coming in and really in person representing the property. It's very important to get those things done. Again, when the media, when the photos and all that sort of stuff, a lot of that stuff can be hidden, but face to face when people are coming through, you want to do that. And again, of course, if there is an inspection to be done, you want the inspector to find nothing like that. What happens after an open house? Well, that's really the fun part. After the open house, in theory, they've seen all the media, they understand the space, they've now gone into the home and they get it. It's workable. They've seen it in person, the size and all the details, of course, are workable. Now we hopefully deal with the offers, hopefully sooner than later, of course. But what typically happens is names will be taken, or agents' names will be taken at the open. Your agent will follow through and contact all the